Hello, this is AMET 104 lecture recording week 6.1. So last class we looked at consumer debt chapter. We went over the amortization and its formula, and we looked at a couple different examples and how it's used. So the amortization is a form of an installment loan where you purposefully take out a loan and pay back small amount each month or each year. In this case, we're going to look at each month. So let's do some recap. So the amortization formula. Sorry about that. So amortization formula is given as M equals to P multiplied by the small p, 1 plus the small p to the power of t, and all divided by 1 plus the small p to the power of t minus 1. And here, M is the monthly payment. And P is the total amount of loan, so in this case it's a principal. And the lowercase p is the monthly interest. So in this case, it's defined as R divided by 12, where R is APR in decimal. And lastly, the T is the total number of months. So total number of, let's say, payments. So this formula is designed to give you the monthly payment given all these informations that you have. So today we're going to look at several examples regarding amortization. So the examples will be very simple, really. There is really not much you can do very elaborately in this chapter, but I'm still going to go over a few different examples so you guys can get a hang of what this chapter is all about. So let's say, suppose Bill purchases a car and he is going to finance, let's say, $11,900 for 48 months. And at an APR of 5.1%. So what's the monthly payment? So in this case, when Bill after down payment and fee and everything, he ended up financing the $11,900. Whether it is from the bank or through the dealership, it doesn't matter. Here, the bill here is trying to finance it. With an APR of 5.1% for 48 months, it is very important to know how much he will be paying each month, because that's directly related to his expenses each month. So here we know that the principal amount is already given as 11,900. We know the APR is 0.051, it's a 5.1% in decimal. And this would actually imply that the periodic interest here will be 0.051 divided by 12. I'm not going to divide this. I'm not going to express this in decimal because that's going to give us a repeating decimal. But let's say this is, let's leave it as this. And we also know that the total number of payments is 48. So using the formula to find the monthly payment M, we know that it's $11,900, and you multiply by the periodic interest, so in this case 0.051 divided by 12, and you multiply that by 1 plus 0.051 divided by 12 to the power of t, so 48, and you divide everything of that by 1 plus 0.051 divided by 12 to the power of 48 minus 1. So this calculation may take you several tries to get the correct answer. So try several times. Try a few different times to make sure you get the consistent answer. But if you were able to do this correctly, you should be able to get 274 and 59 cents. So this means that in this scenario, if with the APR of 5.1% and for 48 months, if Bill finances his car for $11,900, he will be paying $274.59 each month for 48 months. So yeah, that's the end of the problem. It's actually quite simple. It's all about knowing. It's all about understanding and interpreting the problem correctly and knowing what to plug in where. That's all really is. Let's now look at a different type of problem. An example. Let's say, suppose Gwen wants to buy a car. The dealer offers a financing package consisting of a 4.2% APR for a term of 4 years. So without knowing the purchase price of the car, so suppose that she wants to limit the monthly spending. being a responsible student, let's say, suppose Gwen wants her monthly payments to be at most, let's say $360. Then in this case, the question is, what's the maximum amount she should finance? So it's a different type of scenario, because without knowing what kind of car or how much the car costs, she is being responsible and she wants to limit her monthly spending. This is a very ideal situation. And knowing that the APR is 4.2% and for 4 years, and she does not want to spend anything over $360 a month. And so the question here is what's the maximum amount she should finance? So here, let's actually write down everything we know. So we are actually given the monthly spending, so monthly payment amount of $360. And we also know the APR is 4.2%. So in decimal, it'll be 0.042. And this should actually imply that the periodic interest is 0.042 divided by 12. And let me actually quickly calculate that. So 0.042 divided by 12 is, yep, so it's 0.0035. And what else do we know? We know that the term is for 4 years. So the T is 4 years. And since we're talking about monthly payments, we are multiplying by the number of months in a year. So it'll be 48. So let's actually write down the formula. So formula actually says the monthly payment equals the principal and the periodic interest multiplied by 1 plus the periodic interest to the power of t divided by 1 plus the periodic interest to the power of t minus 1. And we should be able to see that we actually know every little thing that we need to solve for t in this case. Sorry, for p in this case. So let's actually plug everything in. So we know the monthly payment will be $360 maximum. And for whatever amount that she should finance, she would have 0.0035 multiplied by 1.0035 to the power of 48, and you divide it by 1.0035 to the power of 48 minus 1. So then again here, the way to solve this for P is that you first compute whatever is in the bracket first and divide each side by the value of the bracket. So if you do that properly, you should end up with that the purchase price or the principal would actually be $360 divided by the value in the bracket, and that actually becomes $15,881. So this actually means that if she wants to keep it under, keep the monthly payment under $360, the maximum amount that she should finance is the $15,881, which means that if she spends anything less than $15,881, she should be fine, and her monthly payment will be lower than $360. So let's now look at an example where we talk about a bigger number. So let's talk about mortgage. So this is a new example. So let's say a family needs to take out a, let's say, 25-year home mortgage of, let's say, $120,000. Through a local bank. And let's say the annual interest for 25-year mortgage at the bank are, let's say, 8.4%. This is actually a really high number for the mortgage amount. So the first question is, what's their monthly payment? So we've actually done this several times already. So we should be able to do this pretty quickly. Let's first write down everything we know. So we know that okay, first of all, let's talk about the amount. So we know that they're taking out a loan of $120,000. So we know that is that. And we're given the APR is 8.44 seconds, so it's 0.084. And that actually implies that the periodic interest is given as 0.084, and you divide it by 12. And that's going to give you 0.007. And you also have the T is 25 years, and you're doing for each month, and that is actually going to be 300. So it's exactly 300 months. So the monthly payment will be simply $120,000 multiplied by the 0.007 multiplied by 1.007 to the power of 300, and you divide it by 1.007 to the power of 300 minus 1. And that is actually going to give you $958. $958.20. So this implies if this family takes out this loan of $120,000 at this specific bank with an APR of 8.4% for 25 years, the monthly payment for this family for the next 25 years is going to be $958.20. So I guess if you're really thinking about how much we pay monthly for the rent or mortgage, 958 doesn't sound like a bad deal. It's actually okay. But let's talk about the interest. So far in this chapter, we only talked about the monthly payment and how much the purchase price is, APR, and all those things, but really haven't calculated interest separately. So let's actually do that. So let's say for $300 a month, so that's the over the period of the loan, the family will pay $958.20 multiplied by 300. So I guess it'll be better to say it's over 300 a month. So over the period of 300 a month, the family will pay $958.20 multiplied by 300. And that should be pretty intuitive, right? But how much is that really? So that number actually is the $287,400. So, okay, so this family purchased a house that is worth $120,000, and by simply taking out a mortgage loan for 25 years, at the end of the term, this family actually paid close to $300,000 for the house. So that's a significant amount of interest. So how much is the interest really? So the total interest paid is actually, so you take out this much, 287 and 400, and you take away $120,000, is in fact $167,460. So this means that over the period of the loan, this family is paying $167,460 just for the interest. So this is actually how a lot of the bank or any sort of financial institution makes money. They make money through giving out loans like this. Even though this monthly payment doesn't look like it's a lot, over the period of the loan, you're actually paying more for the interest than how much the house actually cost. So obviously not many people would have money saved up enough to purchase the house outright, but it's something to think about when we're taking out a loan, even though it's an installment loan or whatever loan it is. Have a second thought about it. Like, go through with it and make sure how much you're actually paying at the end of the loan. And it's a smart decision to make to, like, you'll make a smarter decision if you knew how to do this prior to actually signing anything. So let's actually do one more example, and I think it's going to be a little short class period today. So let's say Ken just bought a house. And he made a $15,000 down and financed the balance with a 15-year home mortgage loan. And here, let's say with an APR of 6%. And his monthly payment is, let's say, $1,022. And you are to find the price of the house. So what was the selling price of the house? So simply saying, we know all the terms. We know that Ken made the $15,000 down payment and financed the rest of the balance for 15 years with an APR of 6%. If his monthly payment is $1,022, the purchase price of the house should be actually easy to find out. So let's actually write down everything we know before we do anything. So let's not think about the down payment as of yet. Let's talk about the mortgage only. So we know that the monthly payment currently is $1,022. We also know the APR is 6%, so it's 0.06, and that would imply that the monthly interest should be 0.06 divided by 12, and that is 0.005. And lastly, we have the T, which is 15 years, and you're multiplying by 12. And that is going to be 180 months. So knowing all these, let's put this into the calculation. So we know that the monthly payment is $1,022. And whatever the financed principal is, we know that the periodic interest is 0.005 multiplied by 1.005 to the power of 180, and you divide it by 1.005 to the 180 minus 1. And you do it the same way. You compute whatever was the inside of the bracket, and divide it on each side. I'm not going to write it out anymore. And that would come out to be divided by the value of the bracket. And that should actually give you let me quickly calculate. Sorry, I thought I did the calculation. Okay, sorry about that. So that should actually give you the purchase price of $121,100.59. So this is how much he financed. This is how much Ken took out a loan for. But we also have the down payment here. So down payment is the payment that the purchase makes before taking out a loan. It's the sum of money that you put down before you take out any loan. So since the down payment is $15,000, we know that the purchase price, so total purchase price, of the house is given as $121,159 plus $15,000, and that is going to be $136,110.59. So that is the purchase price of the house. Okay, so I think I'm going to end here. I think that's enough examples for this chapter. This was the last chapter of chapter 10, and you probably have received the announcement through Blackboard about the exam 1. Exam 1 will cover chapter 9 and 10. So whatever we have done so far since the beginning of the semester will be in the exam 1. And because of that, next class, instead of going over to the next chapter, I'm going to take some time and go over different examples. And hopefully that should, I think I'm just going to dedicate the whole class to go over different examples that may or may not be in the exam. So thank you for joining the class and have a great rest of the day.